that part, let Bureau Rec put that up for leases, and that also gets you out of the expenses you're paying out there for maintenance and lights, and et cetera. I'd dump that back on Bureau Rec. But that contract's up to negotiations. You can do as good a negotiating as you want or as poorly as you want. That's certainly up to you guys. We didn't put stipulations in there. We trust you'll do a good job.
Okay.
And I guess, oh wait,
Yeah, for the commission, over the years, the trust board, as well as the commission, have put in close to 800,000 in that complex. That's county money, so just for the record, so people understand, we do have an interest in it, a substantial one. The issue is, we don't have the funds to develop it. You're looking at a $10 million job to bring it up to what it is in Goose Bay.
there's a couple of pieces, and Dan, I might ask you a couple questions if that's all okay. I understand you may not have the answers off the fly. But I don't think the master plan, I know the master plan that's been put together thus far is not for a repeat of Goose Bay. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I think it's nice to have Goose Bay, and then I think it's nice to have silos, because we have both campers, both camper types, those that want first class and those that want to be a little bit more rustic and free. So I think that's important to keep in mind. Also, we went through a very lengthy process at the direction of the trust board to gain local control of our golf course, softball fields, Old Poor Farm, and Rod and Gun Club. That's important, the local control. When we do talk with the BOR and renegotiate or get back into the contracts, we could not have done that until January. There was just too much hostility on the subject for whatever reason. And then you can't do that right before somebody's starting the season. So we've already agreed to do this in the fall. BOR has been gracious enough to agree. So we have that on our plans. And it's a good idea for both sides. But to even talk about dropping local control without engaging the public has me extremely concerned. We have the #1 Lund seller this side of the Mississippi here in Townsend. He's got over a handful of employees with families that live here that rely on that business for their livelihood. I don't think we want to ditch them. If you drive through this county on a Saturday or Sunday and any weekend, even this summer that hasn't had great weekends, you cannot count the number of campers and boats at Bob's and the gas stations. And I know we have solid numbers coming. I don't have those off the top of my head, but we do not want to ditch local control. As far as the liability questions, I think we need to rely on Julie for that, and Mako, who's our insurance carrier. I think we all have assumptions to be made when it comes to liability, but I don't think we can make any decisions based on assumptions. We need to get the experts in here and get them to tell us what the realities are of that issue. Oh, Dan, my question for you. You had stated before that there are grants out there for a lot of the work that needs to be done at silos, to kind of bring it up again. And we are more apt to get those if we have a partnership. Steve mentioned that we do need a partnership. I appreciate that very much. Can you speak to those grants for us? Again, I understand if you
I'm
can't.
not sure if I don't think I've ever said that.
Maybe it was the other Dan.
Maybe it was Dan Shermke.
Maybe
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Other
I
Dan.
don't want to speak for him.
other Dan.
All right. Well, maybe that's something we can talk about when we
Yeah.
come together. And those will be public meetings so that the public who rely and recreate at silos have an opportunity to have their voices heard. I understand these discussions were not on the agenda, and they should have been, especially to have a letter that has this as a condition. It should have been welcoming members of the public who rely on silos, who live there, who recreate there, whose businesses rely on that facility for their livelihood. I think that's all my points on that. So I look forward to working with you guys more. And I have to say, our relationship with BOR is unlike it's ever been in the past, and I really wanna thank both of you, you and Dan, both for that. It's pretty refreshing and pretty exciting to have that relationship now, so thank you.
Great.
That's all my comments. Oh, and I would like documentation of that previous master plan and the response that you got, if you could send that to me.
I think those were destroyed. We found, we were told by one of the secretaries here who wants to remain anonymous that 2 boxes of trust board materials were discarded, so we don't have those. We've got rough drafts of it, but the originals and all of our documentation on that have been tossed.
So we don't really have anything to substantiate what's said either way about those, other than opinions or perspective that
I
may
think
be
the members
clouded
of
over
the
the
trust
years.
board, if you'd like to call us into question on that, I think be careful, because we're awfully, it's the same board other than Al who put that together. If you don't believe it happened,
Yeah, it
that
would
might be your
help to
problem,
have
not
that
ours.
documentation, especially with a letter that says, this is what we demand. I'm uncomfortable with that,
I'm sure you are.
especially when there was no public input. That subject should have been on the agenda, and people should have been aware of the discussion so that they could have been there to voice their opinions, or at least heard the discussion. So I'm quite concerned.
we're certainly open to discussion on it.
Yeah,
As
I
it
appreciate that, and you'll be
stands,
invited just
We're
like
not
the
gonna
public.
we're not gonna fund it without those conditions being met.
And
I
like
think
I
it's a
said,
waste
we'd
of money.
already agreed, Steve, but I just think the trust board stepped way out of line on this. Appreciate your opinion, but without that being on your agenda, it should not have been a vote, and it should not be in this letter, so.
Don't
it's
agree
open
at
meeting
all.
laws.
But, and that's why, as a commissioner, we set up 2 boards. You guys get terrible pressure as commissioners, but the trust board doesn't. We make decisions based on what we feel is the best use of the money for recreation. You guys get pressures, we don't. So our decisions are made differently. We're a totally separate board, and we set it up that way for a reason. But any questions, don't hesitate to bring it forward.
Well, I will accept the grant, move to accept the grant for $32,000 to match what's already been provided, and that is in the application. The request was for $45,000, $32 with the matching donations.
Is there a second?
So your motion is just to accept the grant and not to do a renegotiation, is that correct?
No, and I think I've said this twice now. We already have talked about renegotiating the contract with BOR.
Mhm.
Regardless of it being here, which was a violation of open meeting laws, I still think we need to move forward with that. But that is our decision to make with BOR,
Mhm.
and it is our duty to make sure that's on the agenda so the public knows what we're doing. To have a vote that was not on the agenda is a violation of open meeting laws, and therefore my motion is just for the $32,000. We're already gonna do what their ultimatum is, so it's kind of a wash. But I'm not gonna put something that was done in opposition of open meeting laws into my motion. I don't think we should support that.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Chairman, we had a separate meeting to vote on this, that was posted.
But was it posted that you were going to be discussing the silos contract with
It was a
BOR
vote.
and severing that contract?
That came up during the meeting, the agenda said vote on their grant.
The agenda needed to say, discussion regarding severing contract with BOR and the county regarding silos, to comply with open meeting laws.
I don't agree with that. Let's bring legal counsel in and have it studied before you guys make any votes on this, because I think it's contrary to the direction we're going. You're gonna restrict discussion on a vote to what you published? We put a condition on it. There's a necessary condition, we felt, to protect the public funds. we don't precondition our discussion. We say, do we fund it or do we not fund it? And here's why and here's how. And that's what your discussions are about. I know we're hypersensitive to open meeting and things of that nature, but we're well within the bounds, and so is our motion. Our board decision is sound. If you'd like to have a question, fine. I would recommend you not go into a vote that's contrary to our vote. You can either yea it, nay it, or not vote on it, but
And I
Two-
don't
two
think
different
we are
motions?
contrary, because we have already agreed to work on it this fall. So that's what you're asking for. It does say, be canceled, that, but you also have or renegotiated. So we have already agreed to that, but not by this letter. So you're
Would-
getting your way, because we already took care of it months ago.
so
And Dan
we-
is well aware of that, so,
So the record will confirm you are going to renegotiate the contract before we enter into this agreement.
we can reiterate for the minutes that we've already decided to renegotiate with BOR, certainly. We can ask Ann right now to put that in the minutes, because it happened.
Before the trust board okays to the release of funds, we want assurance that this contract year, prior to entering into next year's contract, you will either cancel or renegotiate that contract. Is that true?
Already been discussed, decided on, and agreed on.
So that's a yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
Good. I'm pleased.
Al, what's your timeline? When do you have to match the BOR grant? Is it end of October,
1st of October, I believe.
1st of October?
And I don't know what kind of lead time you need.
I'm not 100% sure. I know that we had to have everything agreed upon and into a contract by the, like, 1st of October for the fiscal year, so that we can give our side of the money to the county. And then I think that you guys have some time to get your money, to get your matching into it.
Yeah. So we can't just do this on October 1st, you need some lead time,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
And yeah, there's definitely gonna be, have some lead time for it.
okay.
So Dan, do you know what the date, if we cancel or renegotiate, what's the deadline to have that contract done?
Say that one more time.
If we cancel or renegotiate, is there a deadline that we have to have that contract done by?
In
As
order to
far
get
as
the money?
concessionaires are involved?
In order to get the funding from reclamation?
Well, or if we come in and say we don't want anything to do with that, you need to come up with a concessionaire, so is there a date, is there a deadline that we have to have that conversation by, so that you can have your concessionaire in place for next year?
I'm sure there is, but I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
Okay,
And I think that there might be a thing in there that says like, there's a 2-year notification. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
So if we did wanna just cancel, we're on the hook for 2 years to provide that ourselves. So,
But I don't know if that counts as a renegotiation though.
no, just to cancel.
Right.
If we renegotiate, we can talk about that and open
And
it
I
up
would
for
think-
discussion.
You know, I don't mean to speak for Dan or my supervisors, but I think that they would be open to renegotiation versus in Lucia.
okay.
And we do have that from a previous conversation,
I think so as well.
yeah.
See, what's the,
I think we're getting to the end of where everybody wants to be here, just a little different way.
So is there there's a motion to approve the grant? Do we need to include the caveat that we will renegotiate the contract with BOR?
I think that's already been taken care of.
Okay, so we'll have a vote on approving this Broadwater County, the Broadwater Trust Board vote to approve the grant decisions action group. Any
Mr. Chairman,
further
there has not been a second on that motion yet.
Beg your
There
pardon?
has not been a second on
Is there
that
a
motion.
second? Yes, Steve?
I think you should include that just as a courtesy. I know you'd like to say it's assumed. I certainly feel better if you put that clause in.
Okay, is there a second? Is there another motion?
I think the motion needs to include the grant and also just so for clarification that we are going to go into renegotiations with the Bureau of Reclamation on this contract.
Is there a second?
That's a friendly amendment. I will accept the friendly amendment. I will reiterate that the trust board is out of bounds. They violated open meeting laws. We had a closed door discussion on several issues, and that was one of them. But I will accept the friendly amendment to get this off the table because serving our citizens is the most important issue, and the point has been made regarding open meeting laws. So, yes, I accept the friendly amendment.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Yes, Steve?
Just point of discussion, we're certainly open to any challenges of public meeting laws. We are a very, very open board. We follow the law on it. We do not do anything contradictory to open meeting laws. Secondly, I think some recognition needs to be given to the other parties that contributed. I think it's up to $18,000. That's really terrific community support, and those local groups need to be commended. And there'll be participants and partners in this agreement, so that's a win-win.
Okay, thank you. So the motion's been made and seconded to approve the trust board, or to approve of the grant, and to also include renegotiations of the contract with the BOR. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Commissioners.
Okay, Mary Hendrickson, Public Works. Yes, Coco, go ahead.
Did you skip over the COS review?
Yeah, I think we did.
I don't know if I just didn't hear it.
Yeah,
it
we did.
possible to bump
Do you
in
have
there?
one real quick?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. So I have two for review, same owner, same sheet. I will be very brief. This has gone to the review committee. I think you all were able to see these COSs. This is a boundary location for the Dykema family. This is along Price Road. This is basically just to capture the Price Road right-of-way adjustment that occurred, oh gosh, several years ago. So this is just to show that on a survey. So it's a boundary relocation. Second survey, this is to create agricultural parcels, still the Dykema family. The purpose for creating these agricultural parcels is for future subdivision. So the Dykemas have this as pivot, as irrigated land. They want to create these agricultural parcels for future development. If they were to bring this whole parcel in for subdivision, this would be subdivision land. They don't want their ag land to be subdivision land. They want to keep it as ag land. So this is the best way for them to do it, to create these agricultural parcels. If they're ever to be built on, they will have to come back through subdivision review. And there's one sheet for both.
I move to support this, both boundary relocations and the creation of the egg tracts as presented.
I will second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the, is it Dykema?
Dykema.
Dykema land boundary relocation and agriculture tracts. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
I want to say I like our process
I was
much
just
better.
going to ask that. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, we had a chance to look at this a little ahead of time
perfect.
and study it. I like it a lot better.
Okay,
So,
well,
thank you.
and then it takes up less time at this table as well.
Right, because when
Thank
we
you.
know.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Nicole, you had sent an email that you were going to give us 10 days. I responded that I thought we didn't need 10 days and was concerned if that was going to slow down the process. Nobody responded. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think 10 is fine? Does it slow down the process?
You know, I did not hear from the landowners or the surveyors that this caused any hardships or negativity. This did go longer than the 10 days.
Right.
It could have been here at last Monday's meeting, but in any case. So this one did take a little longer, but not on the part of the county, just in getting all of the documentation together. So I have not heard that it has been a problem.
Okay, all right, if you do, would you let us know?
Oh, absolutely.
10 days seems like a very long time for me for something that we don't approve, we just support. So, yeah, if you do hear anything, I'd appreciate the feedback, but I'm good with the 10 days if it works for everybody.
Super, can you slide this way? Just a little, please, thank you. Yeah, I will definitely keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Hendrickson, Public Works Director, Solid Waste Management District. Board bylaws approval, reaffirm board appointments for mosquito recreation board.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I put in your inbox a couple of weeks ago the final bylaws for the Solid Waste Advisory Board for your approval. The copy that I had given to you was already signed by all the board members. If you have misplaced that, that's fine. I can take your signed copy to them at our next meeting. But basically, they've been working on these bylaws based on the training that we had, using the template that was given to us. There was some discussion about advisory versus supervisory board. They did have some language in here that I was opposed to, and changed that. They approved the language at the last solid waste board meeting and signed that, and that was under Article 2, Item 4, under the purpose. We revised the word, we changed the word from oversight to the narrative reviewing ongoing operations, instead of having oversight over ongoing operations, because oversight implies management, supervision, and they're not a supervisory board. So the members were okay with that, and so I put this set of bylaws before you for final approval.
That really was the only change, wasn't it, Mary?
It was, yes, yes.
Is there a motion to approve the Solid Waste Management District Advisory Board bylaws?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve the solid waste management district bylaws.
Is there a second?
Yep, I'll second the motion.
Motion been made, second to approve the Broderick County Solid Waste Management District Advisory Board bylaws. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
So do we need to reaffirm the board appointments for mosquito and?
Yeah, those have always been kind of a management thing, ministerial, which is part of what we can do. But to avoid any upset and to be doubly sure that we are complying with open meeting laws, I did put it on the agenda just, again, to avoid upset.
We got
So-
Go ahead.
We had Stacy Summer, who wanted to be appointed to both the rec board and the mosquito boards. We did approve that already, so this would be a reaffirmation of that. And Tom Hay wants to also be appointed to the mosquito board, and that would also, this would be a reaffirmation of that vote as well. So if you like, I'd be happy to put that into the form of a
Okay,
motion.
if you would, please.
The move to reaffirm the appointments of Tom Hay and Stacy Summer to the mosquito board, and Stacy Summer to the recreation board for the terms described last week.
Is there any further or is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries. Okay, a letter of support for the local Billings Clinic Care and Nursing Services.
So I sent this out to you guys before the meeting, and it certainly can complement and be stapled to Kyle's letter. Totally open to any edits that you guys have or want to add. You guys want a copy? I didn't put, well, I'll let you guys read it and let me know what you think. And if you wanna send it, I thought it was best to maybe be a letter to the citizens versus a letter to either Billings Clinic or anyone else. Also open to your suggestions on that.
And I had theirs, did you get a copy of this, Ann? There's a pile of them there, it's
Thank you.
talking points from the hospital.
And I'd be in support, when we're done with the letter, of reading this into the record. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
And I think there's some really good points made there.
Question, Mr. Chair. The letter that you folks are going to look at, or privilege, does that just basically reaffirm what's been on the sheet for handout, or is it something different?
It's pretty much the same message, I think.
You can have mine, Tim.
So do we wanna read both of these then, or just the one?
It's up to you.
So this is the commission's letter. Support for the Broadwater Clinic, for Billings Clinic and long-term care for seniors. Dear citizens, the Broadwater County Board of County Commissioners supports Billings Clinic coming to Townsend and Broadwater County to provide top-quality medical care and top-quality long-term care for seniors with special needs. In fact, a strong focus of our community is maintaining our long-term care facility, maintaining that service and enhancing the already five-star rating it has earned. For our seniors in need of specialized care, our local hospital is essential. Those folks need to be able to remain where they grew up, raise their families, and have their network of friends. For them, it's about the quality of their lives. We support the local providers we currently have that complement the work Billings Clinic will be able to provide. Family Medical Clinic, Three-Dimensional Health and Wellness, County Public Health Services, Broadwater Family Chiropractic, Dr. Gary Lytle, and Townsend Dental. Sincerely, Commissioners. And we have a letter from the hospital, Hometown Hospital. We want a hometown hospital with local community involvement that will grow and thrive. Billings Clinic has a proven track record to help us achieve our community goals. Our community is benefited significantly by Hometown Hospital. We want a hometown hospital with local community involvement that will grow and thrive. Having a thriving hospital is critical to every community like ours. If our hospital and nursing home go away, we will never get them back. By staying focused on our hometown hospital, it will continue helping our local economy thrive. Our hometown hospital will suffer if others come into town and carve out the lucrative parts of healthcare. Patients, especially senior care patients, will be shipped outside of our community. Since 1905, our hometown hospital has been a key part of the fabric of our community. Let's keep jobs local at one of our community's largest employers, including our talented and caring staff. Our community board chose a partner that is experienced and committed to rural health care and sustaining our hometown hospital. We need to keep care local. The hospital board will remain a community board. Local involvement. It is important that our community decides how health care is delivered here. This is Billings Clinic's model for its partners across Montana and is their commitment to our community. All over the country, small rural hospitals are threatened. We don't want to lose our hometown hospital, senior care, and rehabilitative services. Billings Clinic's partners like Red Lodge and Columbus are growing and thriving. When a hometown community finds a trusted partner, they roll up their sleeves and work together. We want that here in our hometown community. Broadwater Health Center is one of the major employers in our county and provides good jobs to keep talented people here. We are like a family. Let's work together to ensure we keep our hometown hospital and its people. Billings Clinic is investing in our community to help our hometown hospital grow and thrive. Our healthcare entities who invest in our community in a self-serving way would use it as a launching pad to take business away from our community. Local business and community leaders are and will remain involved in the plans Billings Clinic has for Broadwater Health Center. Grow and thrive. Billings Clinic has a proven track record. They have broad and deep experience in managing and helping its community partners succeed. What will happen to our community if we lose our hometown hospital? If we lose our hometown hospital, we have no chance of saving our nursing home. We lose one of our largest employers in Broadwater County and lose the heart of our community. We are concerned that an outside clinic will duplicate services that are already available here and could drive our hometown hospital out of business. Billings Clinic brings us an affiliation with Mayo Clinic, which will enhance the ability of our local providers to access information and get advice to help care for us in our community. Billings Clinic has a proven track record of sustaining outreach partners across Montana, including communities big and small. We trust that Billings Clinic will help us keep care local and get patients who need a different level of care to their facility of choice. St. Peter's, please don't cherry pick health care from this community to save referrals you will get anyway. You are putting us at risk of losing our hometown hospital. Is there a motion to sign both of these letters?
Mr. Chairman, could you just ask a question? This letter is fine, it's great. But what I need to ask you is, has this board taken a formal position on the sale of this hospital to Billings Clinic? If this sale is what drives everything else, and I would ask the commissioners to formally support the fact that Townsend Health Systems has chosen Billings Clinic to be the purchaser of this hospital. Now, we have a signed purchase agreement, but we haven't gotten to a closing yet. The closing's still 2 months away. But I'm asking for you to consider giving us a motion of support for the sale along with, plus the support of this letter. Because it's the sale that is really germane here.
I would be more than happy to mention in the first paragraph that we support the sale, if you guys are good with that.
I'm good with it. I don't know that we can.
But see, you do have an interest in this. The hospital owes you money, warrants. And if this sale doesn't materialize, who knows?
What still has to happen, Brad, for this? I know we still got this period of time to go here yet.
We have the 2 months left to get to closing. It's no different than selling your house. You get an offer, everybody signs an offer, and then there's a closing when everything checks out. And
The way I understand it, we've just entered an exclusive agreement,
yes,
correct, with Billings Clinic. If something were not to work out there, we would still have to fall back on what you guys have worked on before, right?
well,
Other entities, is that right?
well, I don't know where we would go if this fell through. You know, we don't have a good relationship with St. Peter's at this point. Now, we would be happy to talk about why we chose Billings Clinic, if anybody wants to know or care, but there's a situation here that if this doesn't work out, it's gonna, there's gonna be real ripple effects.
I wouldn't have a problem with a motion of support
That's all I was asking for.
Okay, well, because we can't give approval for a sale that hasn't been finalized.
Well, and the sale is between the hospital leadership and Billings Clinic. It doesn't necessarily involve, except that you have a financial interest in this. And all I was really asking for was a clear motion of support for the sale.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So is there a motion for, yes, Shirley?
I'm still not clear on all this ownership and whatever. Who owns the hospital? Does the hospital board own the hospital?
The district board.
The district board?
Correct.
Can the three of you decide for the citizens of Broadwater County to do this?
Well, it's not the citizens of it's the citizens of the district. It's not the citizens of Broadwater County.
It's citizens of what? I
The
didn't.
citizens of the hospital district. Because
Okay,
the entire
okay.
county does not own the hospital.
Correct. But maybe we should have this brought up in a public meeting.
Well, I think
after
that we,
listening to this, but- I mean, I can see a letter of support, but I think we need public input.
well, that's what I'm saying, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, is I think that we can go ahead with a vote of support. The
Right.
commission supports the sale, but we can't approve the sale until the district has brought it to us, I believe.
Correct.
I would think that would be legit.
Yes, Tim?
I guess Shirley pretty much covered what my question was without anyone here today at this public meeting with this on the agenda from the hospital district, which is a separate elected body to the citizens in Broadwater County, not in its entirety, as you pointed out, without them here to address that support and or that move even, it's hard. Some of us have been to those town halls where they are showing support, but it's not been in an official capacity at this point. So again, that transparency and that accountability is on the table, and we respectfully request, and I am speaking as a citizen of Broadwater County. Thank you.
What's the actual wording on the agenda?
The actual wording on the agenda, Mr. Chairman, letter of support for local Billings Clinic healthcare and nursing home services.
Okay. So all we're addressing is the letter of support, and by approving this letter of support and your letter, then I think that gives you the same support that you were looking for Billings Clinic.
And the facts are, is the letter of intent that we sent was by and large accepted, but now we work through the process, and once that process is completed, we'll take that back to the district board for their approval and purchase at that point in time. And that will be held with public meetings, more than one, I would guess.
Okay. Okay. And before we vote or make a motion, I just want to reiterate that I am not a member of the hospital board, THS's board. I simply attend their meetings for information for commissioners. So we will entertain a motion to approve and sign the letter of support and the hometown hospital document provided to us. Is there a second, or a motion and a second?
Go ahead and make the motion.
Sure, I will move, I'm gonna make three points to my motion. So I move that, one, we sign the letter of support, as presented. Two, we sign the hometown hospital document as presented. And three, that we voice our support for the sale to Billings Clinic.
Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for all your hard work, you guys. I know it's been a long process. And so you know we do support you.
Appreciate it.
Well, keeping the hospital open is the primary consideration.
right?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Shirley, how are you?
So is there anything else to come before the board?
I have a couple of things, some questions and follow-up. I have a thank you card here for Harold Blatty coming to see us. Wondered if you guys wanted to sign it. So there's a junk vehicle survey that was sent out. I forwarded that to Mary and, or maybe it was Mike, and Michelle. Michelle is the administrator, Mike Myers does the work. And Michelle emailed back and she said, I think this is much more commissioner questions than those I have answers to. So I was wondering if either of you had filled that out or if you were willing to.
I looked at it, but I thought
I did, I
that
looked at it this morning, but I haven't filled anything.
I thought Mary was gonna handle it.
Okay. Do you want to ask her or should the
So
commissioner?
is Mary doing?
No, it's not actually in her
Mike or
department.
Or Mike's doing it?
Well, yeah, except Michelle is the administrator, Mike is the worker. He does the loading of the vehicles and takes them where they need to go. But according to Michelle, the questions were more commissioner related, more policy
Oh, okay,
related.
Okay,
So that's why she thought we should do it instead.
Okay.
I just wanted to verify with you guys that one of us was gonna do it.
okay.
And then the second question I had is the assistant position for sanitation. We have had an assistant position in that department for years and years, long before I was here. Right now, we're paying a contractor $125 an hour, and right now he's doing a lot of clerical work, which should be at 15. We voted on this, the minutes have been provided, thank you, Ann. I would like to move forward with that. The only thing we changed is we took one position and we created two and added part-time positions to each of those. Neither of them is 40, they're both part-time, or 30, 32 hours per week. The only thing we added to that was planning, again, because our planner doing minutes is paid more money than a clerical assistant would be. In the long run, this is a money saver. So, is there a reason we can't move forward?
No, I thought I sent an email.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't see it yet. All right.
yeah, and I don't have a problem moving forward. My only hesitation, I wanted to make sure that we had approved our budget before we go hiring people. I knew that we approved to hire the position. But now that our budget approved, I say let's get it done.
Okay, I was confused because
No.
it was okay for district court, but it was not okay for sanitation.
Well, I guess the reason that.
Why?
Yeah, because district court, when we just basically, but the money had already been allotted, we just changed the duties, where she's doing district court and, finance.
Same with sanitation.
Sanitation, but they weren't doing planning for it, and sanitation, you see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, it's tit for tat. That
Right.
was my reason for waiting.
Okay,
Budget's approved, the money's there, let's hire the people.
okay, so it's
That's
on
all.
record, we're good with, I will
Yeah.
tell Michelle and let's get that done.
Yeah.
All right, good. The other, I have two questions then. I don't know if Brenda's
Were
still
they gonna be
here.
advertised in-house first? That was another question.
I would like to parallel, if we can. So run it in-house. If we get qualified applicants and they come through the interview process, great. If they don't, or we want a bigger pool, it's been running parallel and we can a week
Yeah,
later
we
do
give
that.
both
Does that work for you guys?
Okay?
Advertising both ways, yeah.
Okay, that way we don't lose that time. So, the newspaper, Bobby wrote an article for her husband that said that somebody, the commission, had guaranteed the sheriff's office that they would not be subject to the state's portion of floating mills. I talked with Debbie, she did not do that, neither did Michelle. Did either of you give that guarantee? Okay. And then the other thing is when Wynn said 2 weeks ago that there's 6 pending lawsuits in the detention center, if you look at MCA code, there's at least 3 different sections of code that state that all lawsuits go through the county commission. We already know that. Even if we're not involved in it, the lawsuits still come through the commission because we're the ones that handle the money. So I'm wondering if one of you can follow up and find out what those are so that we are aware. I'm not aware of any, and
Well,
I'm
the
a
one is,
commissioner.
the meeting that I sat in on was the one prisoner that had it's a bogus claim from like 12 years ago. He got arrested and came in here, and Donnie Kynette made a remark, and that guy chuckled, and then he got rearrested and got shipped back, and then Donnie was there, so he filed a lawsuit because Donnie violated his civil rights 18 years ago, and he still has a job.
Right, and that's one
And
of the prisoners that we're paying for up in Townsend to eliminate that conflict of, Helena.
Sure, I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eliminate that
That's the
conflict of
only one
interest.
that I know of.
Yeah.
Okay, he said there were 6. If that means there's 5 more, I think we just need to verify with him that there are not, or that there are, and we need to find out what those are.
Yeah.
That's
So-
one I'm aware of as well.
Okay, can one of you find out? I don't think I can.
Okay.
Okay, and then just respond via email or in our next meeting? Okay. Those were all my questions for today.
Brandon's right here, do we have 6 lawsuits, Brandon?
I think we have, well, yeah, I know we have 2 for sure. I think what he's referring to is there's been some severe incidents and we've received, I don't know how many exactly off the top of my head, but we've received, letters basically that we forwarded to Corey. That
Okay.
something may
Just
come.
pending stuff?
Yeah, it's not reached that stage yet, but could very well possibly be there with the legal stuff we've received, so.
So 2 actual,
I almost wanted to say there's 3, but I know 2 right off the top of my head. I couldn't give you a definite guarantee. I don't know, I know the sheriff receives a lot of legal mail, more than I do, and he handles that, so I couldn't give you a guaranteed answer.
very good.
So, the one in Helena is not the one that you're referring to.
That guy's in Great Falls, isn't he?
I think he's in prison, but, it's the other one that we moved to Helena, so.
Could you get us a report or something, Brandon, just because if by law, our detention center, the law also says we're supposed to be aware of the lawsuits?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to give you a report. I think you should probably go to Corey or the
Okay.
sheriff. I don't know.
Okay,
I have no access to none of that paperwork. I'm not on it. The sheriff's the one that, I just miss out on those things, thankfully, we're in my position, so.
okay,
But-
appreciate that, thanks.
And then I don't know if he's referring to the one that just settled out. Was that maybe a year, maybe not even quite a year ago or not, so we'd have to talk to him.
Okay,
Thanks, Brandon.
thanks.
Do you have something, Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a real quick question. Tim with Redoubt News. You guys had a meeting with Harold Blatty, who was the executive of Mako for a long time. We weren't unable to make that meeting. Could you give a quick summary of what Mr. Blatty's up to with the county and what's going on there?
He's just basically touring the state, talking to counties about the operation of Mako and what the commissioner's duties are and stuff like that. It's nothing specific to Broadwater County. He's going to every county in the state as kind of helping, Eric Bryson, with relations through the counties and see what issues the counties have with Mako.
So basically, he's then lobbying for Mako
Yeah.
across the state in an unofficial process, I mean, what?
Well, he's
No.
just,
No, he's not logged
he's
in.
just interviewing commissioners to see what's going on as far as the relationship with Mako goes and what we're looking for from Mako to get ready for the fall conference.
Mr. Chairman, there are minutes,
Oh, are
approved
there?
minutes of
Okay.
the meeting.
Yeah, there was. Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Just trying to get clarification.
Okay, so I will not be here next week. I have union negotiation training in Billings.
That's right. You gonna be gone just the first part of, or the whole week?
Huh?
You gonna be gone all week?
Till Thursday, and then I have a meeting with Corey on Joe Smiles.
Yeah. So 9th, 10th, and 11th, that's what I had down, that you're gonna
Yeah.
be gone.
Yeah.
And then, okay. Roger.
Anything else? Okay, we will adjourn at 12:48.
There's somebody left there following.
Hey, Shalom Eve.
And no